What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another third-party review, and today we're taking a look at the Generation Toy J4ZZ. Very creative for Jazz, if you will. And this time Jazz is a 911 Carrera S, an actual Martini racing version. The only difference between this and the real version is that he's got this really nice pearlescent white coat. The real one is white, but you know, props to Generation Toy for putting another Martini racing Porsche as Jazz. I can dig that. If you're not familiar, Jazz was a 935. I believe it was a 935. Yeah, but it's pretty awesome. Almost all the details of the actual Porsche here are painted, you know? I mean, every air intake, every pass-through. The only ones I noticed that aren't are these little ones here. So on the actual Porsche, that would be painted, and it looks like they left a little spot right here for a license plate or something. I don't know. I didn't actually notice the license plate thing until recently. But, yeah. So this is Jazz. He rolls okay. The problem with mine is this one wheel here is really stiffly pinned. So every other one rolls just fine, but this one does not. So if it wasn't for the tight pinning on this wheel, he would roll just fine. The wheels here do have like a rubber tire on it. I'm not really sure how rubbery they are. I don't know if they'll hold up for the long haul. They certainly don't feel like the old rubber tires of the 80s. So hopefully they'll last a bit longer. Overall, the size of this guy, I think he fits in pretty nicely with your Masterpiece collection. I don't exactly know what the scale between one of the 911s versus like a Lancia or the Datsuns are going to be, but you know, in my mind, it's a reasonable size. I think it's nice. The spoiler on the back here, it is a little bit of a softer plastic than the rest, but don't bend it too much or it might actually stress. The mirrors here are completely soft, so no worries there about them breaking off or anything. Very nice size in my opinion. Another thing they did here is, part of the transformation of course is the doors, but you'll see they actually have a magnet here, so when you get kind of close, it closes the door, and it's pretty satisfying somehow, that little door closing mechanism of the magnet. So you can have the doors open if you want it on the shelf. Kind of looks cool, and it just flips right closed. If I'm going to ding points on them, it's that they could have put the little mechanism that the Masterpiece cars have, where this little thing to slot the gun in, like, would push down, and then when you pull it out, it would pop back up. It's just a hole here. And in this case, you can take Jazz's gun here and shove it in the roof just like that, if that's your thing. And the gun does have a little pivot on here, so you can swivel it up and down on the car. So if that's your thing, you can do it. It's not really something I like doing, so whatever. So let's get this guy transformed here. It's pretty simplistic. A quick look at the bottom, it's pretty clean. He does have these little cannons here. Not everybody's a fan. I'm going to show you what to do with them if you don't like them. You really don't need the cannons on here. Just a little back plate here. But anyway, let's get it transformed. We'll start by taking the wheel and pulling it all the way out to the side here. Like that. Bring this actual cannon up and we'll flip it. Well, we'll just do it like that for now on both sides. It can be a little bit difficult to get your fingers in there if you have big fingers like I do. We'll leave it like that. Coming down to this plate here, unplug it from the forearms and rotate this little tiny piece down, and it's going to just plug right into here, the little clip. Bring that down. You don't have to open the doors here, but it is a little bit easier because these arms are plugged into the little magnet pieces. So free them from there, kind of bring them up here. And now we want to make sure our cannons are out of the way here. And then this whole assembly can flip out to the side. As you can see, that's going to end up being Jazz's arms. And try to get the tires so they're on top of the wheel wells. There's a lot of little hinged assemblies here. So there we go. We got that done, and we got the arms out on each side. We can, well, let's go and do the feet. We'll come back to the arms after. Now open this door and unpeg the front of the roof there. You can actually open these things up right now. Now we're going to get to the one part of this transformation that I think is a little more difficult. Carefully unpeg that spoiler piece. We don't want to put too much stress on it. Open up this little silver piece so it's out of the way, and fold it open like so. And now get the feet. Well, we can go ahead and split them and get them out from underneath the roof here. From here, kind of in the typical fashion that you would expect, this is going to come around this way, and this is what I think is the hardest part. They want you to take this little window here and flip it in, and to do that you kind of have to pull it away from the back piece of the car here, which is scary the first time. Mine was a little bit tight, but after I got it to come out the first time and go down, it hasn't been a problem since, so I don't think it's going to break. But you just want to rotate it all the way down. So we'll do that again for this side. Pop it out there and rotate it all the way down. Which, if the foot is out of the way, should look like that. From here, we're going to rotate the front of the car up, rotate the back here, and you see this little tab here, it's going to go right into that hole where the exhaust is, just like that, and you can kind of compress that up. Once you have that, you can actually bring the whole leg assembly up, bring this foot piece, and you have a tab here. It should go into the knee to secure it. Open up this little silver panel, bring it all the way down, and we can clean up his foot like so. Flip the toe around, flip the heel spur out, and then flip this little panel, which is just a nice little panel to fill in the foot there. And this little panel, you can actually, I fold it down just to kind of use as an extra heel spur. The instructions just have it open like that. I think it does look better when it's closed. So we'll do that for the other side here. Come back here, flip this up and down. Bring the leg around. Pull this in place. Bring the knee up. Clip it in place. Open the silver panel. Fold it down. Bring the foot up and rotate it. Heel spur. Panel to make the foot filled in. And there we go. We got some feet for Jazz here. All we have to do now is drop the little magnet pieces down. They'll become little hip skirts basically. And flip his waist around. So now with this down and out of the way, take the roof of the car. We can go ahead and fold this piece of the hood up so it folds against the back like that, and that'll give you the room to bring Jazz's head up like this, and then fold it down and through and lift it up. Once that's out of the way, you see these little tabs right here. They're kind of there for you to put a little pressure on, and that flips these up, and then you close this down and it locks into the black piece. And I do find that I end up moving these little silver pieces from their position, but with his head out of place you can actually get in there and fix that. Not a big deal. So let's bring the camera up just a bit more so we can finish doing this. Now we're going to finish the arms and stuff. We'll open his arm here, flip the hand out and flip it around and close it again. And on this side, same thing obviously. Once you have it like this, the shoulder is on this double jointed swivel here. It's a little bit hard to see. Here we go, that exposes it. You want to bring that all the way up and fold that in. And the guns, they tell you, you want to take them and kind of put them over his shoulder like this, between the wheel and his shoulder, kind of like that. So Go ahead and do that for the other side here. Like this. Bring this around. Make sure that's all the way up. There we go. And now this part, the instructions actually leave this out. And it's pretty easy to miss. They just tell you to put this back in place, but if you do, the head can just fall back in. There's actually a little piece here that flips out, and it just pegs right into there. And when you have it incorrectly, it prevents his head from falling through. From here you can kind of adjust his shoulders and his wheels to whatever makes you happiest. And the doors unfortunately can't fold down, they do stay open, and you're just going to fold them down. But there we go, we got our Jazz in his robot mode, and you know, I think it looks good. The head definitely, you know, it could be a little more Jazz-like. I don't know what it is with the little, like, I guess like face strap on there type thing. If it wasn't there, I think it'd look a little bit better, but I don't think that it's terrible looking. Whoops, that looks terrible looking when his arm is out of place and it looks like it's broken. But yeah, that's Jazz, and he looks pretty good. So of course you can take his gun, and it does just peg into his hand, nothing fancy on it, but it works. It's not going anywhere. I mean, I kind of wish that some of the MPs pegged in that good. For articulation here, his head is on, I believe it's a swivel. I don't think it's a ball joint. It looks like it has a swivel at the neck and then that swivel up and down. So a decent range of motion, no down, but you know, everything I wanted to do. The arms, if you get these tires out of the way, you do get plenty of rotation out of this assembly here. Pretty nice how they made that work. I think it looks pretty good too. Full 360 on there. Bicep swivel. Double jointed elbow for plenty of rotation out of that. The wrist rotation and the fingers are all pinned together, but that's okay for a scale. I figure this scale to me. Waist articulation, of course, is not lost. Coming down to the legs, rotation there, rotation in and out. Would have been nice if there was some ratchets here, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. And these hip skirts do flex out of the way to give you a little bit extra room there if you want it. And they're individually articulated, so that's nice, instead of having to flip both of them up when you move one leg. The knee, nice and ratcheted on there. Sounds good, and the way this all locks in, none of this stuff just comes apart. Pretty nice. Down to the leg here, you do get the rotation on the foot, which is a little bit difficult to utilize given this little panel here, but both that gray member work and the toe works, and you do have the forward and back on the foot. So all the articulation you really want out of pretty well any figure. So for some comparisons here, we'll bring out the wheel jack mold again, and you can see I think it feels like it's an appropriate size. Don't get me wrong, I still want a G1 version of Jazz, but this guy's a reasonable stand-in on a Masterpiece shelf for now, and if you're as big of a fan of Jazz as I am, he'll always have a place in your collection. Here is the MP10 Optimus Prime next to him, and I still think that looks just fun. So like I had said earlier, if you really don't like these little guns, they're pretty easy to deal with. All they are on is a little ball joint. You could actually depin it if you really wanted, but all you need is to put a little bit of pressure on this and pull it off the ball joint. And as long as you have this plate, you can still transform it back to its car mode. And that does give you some options that you can, you know, either hide them behind the arms just like this and leave the tires the standard way, or maybe even kind of angle them down to give them a little flare. Whatever kind of makes you happy. But then you don't need to accommodate those little guns. You will still see the ball joints there, but I mean, frankly, you can bend them back even more or whatever and mostly hide them. Yeah, so I think robot mode is pretty successful. If I had to complain about any part of his robot mode, I would say it's probably the way this shoulder joint works. I think it could be a little bit better. And it's very easy to kind of manipulate that joint down there when you're not really intending to. But at least at this point, I mean, once it's in position, it's not like it falls on its own. It's just kind of easy to make them look a little disjointed if you're not careful. So let's get this guy back to his vehicle mode and let's get out of here. We're going to just start by disconnecting the head, unplugging that, unplugging this, make sure that the head is all the way pushed in so it can go down this way. Fold this down, fold these in, and now your head is just gonna flip so it plugs in kind of, well, it doesn't really plug in, but it sits in that little hole, the white plate, like that. We'll go ahead and we'll deal with the front of the car here. Bring this up and just kind of have that ready to go. From here, I guess we'll work on the hands. The hands are on the smaller piece, so you can kind of grab them to give yourself some leverage. Flip this around, flip it around, plug it back in. And we'll do that for the other side here. Flip it around and back in. And then we'll come back to this after. We'll go ahead and flip the waist right now so we don't forget about it. Take these little black pieces, bring them up. Go ahead and collapse all the foot stuff in. And I always put the toes the other way right now, otherwise I'm going to forget them later on. So once you have that, we can open up this silver bit, close that little panel, bring this open. Do that for the other side too. Like that. And you need that to be out of the way so you can get all this to rotate back. So from here, you can start rotating this piece around. And our foot needs to be kind of straight up and down there. Once you have most of that stuff out of the way, you can bring this window and start getting it back in place. Open this piece, bring out the rear end and flip it down, then go ahead and close up that side window. And once you have this like that, you can close these back pieces, or you can we'll just leave them open for now. It's not really necessary. So we'll do that for the other side here. Bring this around, bring the back end, rotate the knee joint like this, close all this stuff up, bring this little window around and in place. From here, I like to clip this back together while I still have a good range of motion. Plug the spoiler back in, and you can see it's pretty flexible, but I would try to avoid having it do too much flexing. Just, I'm not sure how strong that material is. Peg all this stuff together. And now all this stuff can kind of collapse in place. Make sure it gets the feet underneath the roof there and keep collapsing it down, and you can see everything just kind of snugly fits right in there. From there, you can take this, close it in place, and we got most of it done. We can bring the front of the car, should match up, and then when we close these, it should close on the roof, kind of making the whole car here. And now we just have to deal with the arms and this central piece. Bring this around here like so. Get this out of the way, and you want this double jointed piece to be swung all the way to the inside there as far as it can go. This cannon is just going to kind of come up and rotate out of the way if you still have it on. Again, if you don't, just simply put the ball joint straight up so that little tab there can plug into that wheel. And then the way this joint on the arm works, it should collapse in looking something like that. And then when the arm is actually in place, it's going to be kind of hard to show this. This little magnet piece has a little tab that kind of plugs into the arm to secure it. And then this is going to further secure it, so you'll know you have it in the right position. And I forgot to bring out the glass for the windows. We'll go ahead and do that real quick. So do that again for the other side here. Bring it around. Bring this piece all the way over. Fold the gun up and in place. Find the right way that this is supposed to look. collapse it in on itself. Open this door. Make sure that this piece is plugged in. Now everything should look pretty good on the top here. If so, you can close these doors. The magnet should take care of it. If the magnet's not, then something is wrong. Take this piece, unclip it, fold that little thing in. Those tabs go into those holes. That tells you that your arms are in the right place, and then all you gotta do is fold these in and kind of put a little pressure on the side of the arm here, and it should kind of clip in place, and that'll space the wheels properly. And there you go, you got your Jazz back in his vehicle mode. Overall, I think it's an awesome toy. Jazz is my favorite character, so I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can on this review. But I really do think that he has some smart engineering by Generation Toy, and I actually hope they make more characters in this modern sports car version of their old selves. I think it's pretty cool, and I highly recommend it. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time.